Right now, without even thinking about it, you are surrounded by numbers. There's a number on your phone telling you the time, a number on your bank app telling you what you've got, a number on your speedometer, your microwave, your front door. You check the date, you split a bill, you count out change. You do a dozen tiny calculations before lunch, and you don't even notice you're doing them. Numbers are so deep inside your brain that you can't switch them off. Look at 4 cups on a table, and you don't count them one by one. You just know 4 instantly, effortlessly. But here's something that'll mess with your head a little. For almost the entire time human beings have existed, there were no numbers. None. No 1, 2, 3. No word for 7. No symbol for 100. The most powerful counting tool in the universe, the number, simply hadn't been invented yet. And yet, somehow, those people survived. They traded. They tracked the seasons. They kept track of their animals, their days, their debts. They built things that needed measuring. They did all of it without the one tool you'd swear is impossible to live without. So here's the question. For tens of thousands of years, with no numbers, no math, no written symbols at all, how on earth did ancient humans count anything? Because they did. And the way they pulled it off is one of the most clever, sneaky, brilliant workarounds our species has ever come up with. Now, before we jump in, if you're the kind of person who loves this stuff, the hidden history behind the things we take for granted, do me a quick favor and hit that subscribe button. Seriously, it's free, it takes 1 second, and it tells me you want more of these. And if this ends up blowing your mind even a little, smack that like button on your way through. All right, let's get into it. Let's start with something you'd never guess about your own brain. You are terrible at big numbers. Naturally, I mean, without training. Here's the thing. Your brain has this built-in ability called subitizing. Fancy word, simple idea. It just means that when you see a small amount of stuff, 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 things, you instantly know how many there are. No counting, you just see it. But push past 4, and it falls apart, fast. Put 5 dots on a screen for half a second, then 6, then 7. You can't tell them apart anymore. You have to count them. And here's the crazy part. That's not a you problem. That's an everybody problem. Every human brain hits that same wall right around 3 or 4. So imagine you're an ancient human. You've got a small herd of animals. You've got a pile of tools. You've got a group of people to feed. And your brain, the most advanced thing on the planet, straight up cannot hold those amounts in your head. You need a workaround. You need something outside your body to carry the counting for you. And that's where it all begins. The very first counting tool humans ever used is one you've had your whole life, your hands. Think about it. You've got 10 fingers, 10 little countable objects, always with you, that you can point to, fold down, hold up. You didn't have to invent them. You didn't have to carry them. They were just there. And this is why, listen to this, this is why so much of human counting is built on 10s and 5s. All over the world, in cultures that never once met each other, people landed on the same system, base 10. Why? Because we've all got the same hands. But some groups went further, way further. They didn't stop at fingers. They used their whole bodies. There are cultures where you count up one hand, then up the arm, the wrist, the elbow, the shoulder, across the chest, and back down the other side. 20, 30 different body points, each one standing for a number. Your body wasn't just a body anymore. It was a walking calculator. But hands have a problem, a big one. The second you put your hands down to actually do something, carry a spear, dig a root, hold a baby, your count is gone, vanished. You can't freeze your fingers in a certain position and walk away for 3 days. You needed something that could hold a number even when you weren't looking at it, something that could remember for you. And this is where ancient humans did something genuinely brilliant. They figured out one simple, powerful idea. One thing over here equals one thing over there. Watch how this works. You've got a herd of sheep. You can't count them. No numbers, remember? So every morning, as each sheep walks out to graze, you drop one pebble into a pouch. One sheep, one pebble. One sheep, one pebble. You don't know how many. You don't need to, because that evening, when the sheep come home, you take a pebble back out for each one. And if your pouch is empty when the last sheep walks in, perfect. Everybody's home. But if there's a pebble left over, then you know instantly that a sheep is missing. You didn't count a single thing, and yet you knew exactly what you needed to know. This idea, one object standing in for one thing, is called one-to-one correspondence. And honestly, it might be the single most important math idea humans ever had. Everything comes from this. And they didn't stop at pebbles. They started carving marks into bone. And this is where it gets amazing. Archaeologists have found bones, real physical bones, covered in deliberate, carefully cut tally marks. One of the most famous is called the Ishango bone, found in Africa, and it's thousands of years old. Rows and rows of little scratches grouped in clusters, clearly counting something. We may never know exactly what those marks were tracking. Days? Trades? The moon? But that's not the point. The point is this. Tens of thousands of years ago, a human being sat down and used one scratch to stand for one thing. They took a number out of their head and made it permanent. That is the birth of record keeping, and it changed everything. But tally marks have their own problem, and you already see it coming, don't you? Try this. Scratch 100 lines onto a bone. Now, quick, how many are there? You've got no idea. You're back to counting them one by one, back at that same wall your brain hit way at the start. So humans got sneaky again. They started grouping. You know this trick. You've done it yourself. 4 little lines and then a 5th line slashed across them. Boom! A bundle of 5. Now you're not counting lines anymore. You're counting groups. Suddenly, a huge amount becomes easy to read at a glance. And then came the real jump, the one that changed the game forever. Somewhere along the line, humans stopped needing the thing at all. Instead of a pebble for each sheep, they started using little clay tokens, a certain shape for grain, a certain shape for animals, a certain shape for jars of oil. Different token, different meaning. And then, to keep those tokens safe, they sealed them inside clay balls and pressed marks on the outside to show what was in there. And then somebody, some absolute genius, had the thought that built the modern world. Wait, if the marks on the outside already tell me what's inside, do I even need the tokens? And just like that, the tokens disappeared. The marks stayed. And those marks slowly turned into symbols. And those symbols became the very first written numbers. Numbers weren't invented by mathematicians in a quiet room. They were invented by farmers, traders, and record keepers who were just trying to keep track of their stuff. Now, step back. Look at the whole thing at once. And something kind of beautiful comes into focus. Counting didn't just help humans survive. Counting built civilization. Think about it. The moment you can record an amount, you can trade fairly. I owe you this many, not a bunch. The moment you can track quantities, you can store food and plan for winter. The moment you can measure, you can build. Walls, fields, cities. The moment you can write numbers down, you can collect taxes, run a kingdom, keep history. Every temple, every trade route, every calendar, every empire, all of it stands on top of a pile of pebbles and a scratched-up bone. The people who dropped stones in a pouch to count their sheep had no idea, but they were laying the foundation for literally everything that came after. So here's the full picture. Your ancestors were handed an impossible problem, a brain that goes blank past the number 4, and a world full of things that desperately needed counting. And they answered it, one clever workaround at a time. First with their fingers, then with pebbles and knots and tally marks, then with groups and tokens, and finally with symbols that could hold any number at all. Not one of them woke up trying to invent math. They were just trying to keep track of the sheep, trying not to get cheated, trying to remember how many days until the river flooded. And now, look at you. You glance at your phone and read the time without a thought. You tap in a number and money flies across the planet. You do more calculating before breakfast than an ancient human might have done in a year, and you don't even feel it. You don't struggle to count anymore. You barely notice you're doing it. And that's not because counting is easy. It's because thousands of years of human beings, dropping stones, scratching bones, and slowly, stubbornly figuring it out, built the whole system for you, so that you would never have to.